Hello and greetings. Honestly, one of the important issues I feel like to address is the concept um, of Orientalism, and perhaps in a contemporary context is more close in some cases to misinformation or disinformation. Orientalism is honestly not really a topic that the academic literature really answers the meaning of in regards to East Asia. The actual book by Edward Said is primarily focused on the Middle East. And the very concept, actually, in many respects, the original concept of Orientalism, as the school of Oriental and African studies, um, used the term, was more along the lines of explicit training for language and culture to be a British Empire functionary, a British Empire military officer, government administrator, a judge, a foreign missionary, bringing the Anglican faith to the planet. Um, Often that's not how the term is used, however. It's more refers to exoticization, the creation of a fantasy Asia which has nothing to do with real life. Um, that is that latter meaning of Orientalism is probably today's most pernicious force. The British Empire is gone, for sure. But um, fictionalized, highly exoticized interpretations of Japanese life are relentlessly driven forward. Um, the directors, the creators of these supposed documentaries, perhaps some have heard of them, perhaps some have not heard of them. They eagerly provide this kind of content. Um, Asia is different. Japan is probably the most particularly targeted by this kind of exoticization, fetishization. Um, that is weird. That is something which cannot be a source of knowledge. Um, that is somehow just different. There's an obsession with that. And that is probably what today is typically labeled as Orientalism. And it's a problem. It's a serious problem. I think a lot of people with academic backgrounds like mine prefer not to use the term sometimes because it does, the meaning is kind of shifted from what Edward Said was talking about um, to this explicit focus on control, domination, um, and what the British Empire was talking about, the School of Oriental and African Studies, versus what we're seeing now. Which I think may, in some cases, have a purpose of control, of domination, both domination of Asia, perhaps, as well as setting oneself up as an authority on topics and then dominating the audience. I think there's some truth to the possibility that there could be a power element to today's quote unquote Orientalism. But I'd say these are the first steps if you want to push back against it. Make sure you protect yourself from what is today is called Orientalism. Um, Firstly, I'd say honestly, as much as possible, be skeptical of things that are weird. Portray Asia as somehow different from the rest of the world. Actually, the majority of people on the planet today are actually in Asia, primarily in the countries of India and China, but other countries as well, Southeast Asia, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Indonesia is quite large. What you see in big cities around the world happens there as well. Um, you should you should be skeptical of exoticization or Orientalism. When things are more different than they should be careful. Number two, how do you say this? Let's remember, life, life is not a video game. Life is paperwork. If you're seeing mountains of paperwork, normal daily life activity, probably real. Rules, paperwork, routines. When you're seeing an emphasis on the exotic, emphasis on the strange, um, maybe things getting pseudo spiritual or overemphasis on spirituality in non spiritual parts of life, prosaic matters of residence, food, uh, uh, factory work. Be skeptical. And number three, be skeptical of someone who has a completely unique message, who claims a special insight, yet has almost no contact with East Asian public institutions or events. I've seen this recently in a documentary. Film festivals all across the whole planet. Special social phenomenon that he can then uniquely understand. And no Japanese film festivals, no Japanese representation. A co-director who's not mentioned online. Um, this is something you got to be skeptical of. Just as an example, we could probably discuss all day various Japanese social phenomena, but guarding against Orientalism is, I think, probably a pretty important feature of a good um, media consumption, and I suppose you could say mental hygiene. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Uh, Hope you continue to enjoy understanding and learning more about Asia.